This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains spoilers from Romy and Michele's high school reunion and includes mentions of Romeo and Juliet, Hofas, ACOTAR, Mean Girls, and Pretty Woman. For full list, please see show notes. There are also discussions surrounding fatphobia and bullying.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the fantasy, literature, and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing the 1997 cult classic. This is Romy and Michele's high school reunion. And I just want to know, Jessica Marie, when did you first see this movie? I want to know. Tell me a story.
I have no recollection of the first time seeing this, honestly. I wish it was more exciting. Usually it's a staple, but I feel like I remember the rewatches more because it became one of those movies that you see on TV all the time, but not even from the beginning, all from the high school reunion and onward. And like the scenes and the snippets, but I cannot tell you for the life of me when was the first time or even the last time that I saw this film in its entirety. What about you?
Well,
you're like, I have a story for you.
I do have a story.
I'm excited.
I do have a story, but I do feel like it's kind of like the most familiar story of all time. So as I mentioned in our female friendships episode from a while ago, I moved from Michigan to Florida when I was at a very impressionable age. And that impressionable age left me with very few friends at the time. And I was more familiar with the concept of neighborhood friends. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I made neighborhood friends when I moved before I made school friends. Okay. So the neighborhood friends were, and this is very typical of me, older than I was. Not by a lot, but 1 or 2 grades older than I was, which I very much enjoyed because as an only child, it was like having older sisters who would then introduce you to that cool stuff, right? Yeah. And that's what it felt like. So in my neighborhood, I had a neighborhood friend, Melanie, and she had 2 older brothers who were older than her, and they were really cool.
So even as a young, you're just this is such a cool, I feel like a cool kid right now. This older kid, who took me under her wing, and she has older brothers.
Yeah. And it felt, going to her house felt so cool, but it was only 2 houses down. So, I could see my house, from,
And your parents didn't care. You're I literally know where she is right now.
Yeah. I can see her in the window. It was not a thing, but it felt cool. And everything that I saw there felt cool. So, for example, Melanie and her, and I guess, her older brothers, filtered this information to her, right? And, she filtered it to me, and then I filtered it to, kind of nobody at that time. I was young. It was weird. But this is also how I got introduced to things like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Okay. And Grease also was just this.
Wait, you were introduced to Grease when you were older?
Yeah. It was not a young,
brand new information to me. That's so interesting.
Yeah. So it was this weird kind of. This is also Romeo and Juliet. This is how I got Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. This is this filter, right? This is so fun. But I firmly believe that if I had not have had this friend, this older, slightly older, like female friend to like take me under her wing and kind of show me this cool stuff when I was very impressionable, that I might have missed this. I do feel like I might have missed Romy and Michele. So it is very important, I think, to speak on like the female friendships of Romy and Michele, but also I think of the like, it's not about like girl bossing, but like sharing, right? Yeah. And like kind of spreading communities, spreading the things you love, like not holding them in, and
not gatekeeping.
And as an only child in a new place, because I had this exact same experience. I grew up with this in Michigan, just like in a different setting. So to have this again in like the Florida setting was like really reassuring. It was really nice. And it kind of was like, no, these things are cool. Right? And here's my last point. Because I saw this at a very influential age with people that I thought were cool watching this, it was like, the vibes were the messages here of individualism, right? Being true to yourself, standing up to bullies, and not changing yourself to like fit into the mold, which I think is very important when it comes to the Mean Girls. And fashion, just expressing yourself through fashion. And at the end of this movie, like, they're saying like, we're giving her a gift to be able to express herself through fashion. I went to Catholic school until high school and I did not have that ability. I was very restricted. So this movie experience as an adult was very eye-opening because, like you, Jess, I cannot tell you the last time I saw this movie in its entirety, right? Because, well, I guess before I moved to Germany, I would see this on TV, but only the dance scene.
Yeah, like how is it that's the only time you like caught it?
Yeah, or only the bully confrontation scene, but none of the any of the stuff leading up to that. So it was so fun to rewatch this and also identify these like really significant markers in my childhood and like growing up. Be like, oh, well, that's like a direct line. Like that pipeline is like a straight line. Like, damn.
No, because this movie, I feel like watching it as an adult, and I mean, yes, we've explored female friendships. We continue to explore female friendships, even with the last 4+ years on the podcast. I feel like you were saying, like you see these high school scenes, but some of the things that are so core Romy and Michele and them thriving and being themselves in their friendship, you miss. It's not just at the high school reunion. It's their friendship leading up to it and always having each other's backs. And just like, it was always about them first. I mean, granted, it was also the 90s and this is when it was filmed and they'd talk about boys. They would go to the club and they were like, you know what? Fuck them guys. Like, we're going to dance and do our own thing. Like, it was just so fun and refreshing to watch it with the new lens as women.
Oh, that's such a good like tagline, Jess. That's like fantastic. Oh my gosh. I think we can just like dive headfirst into this. It's such an absolute joy. Not many movies set in Tucson, Arizona. Jess, who's in this movie?
I'll say the key people. We have Lisa Kudrow as Michele. We have Mira Sorvino as Romy. We have Alan Cumming as, I can't remember his name. Sandy Frank. We have Janeane Garofalo as Heather Mooney. And we have Elaine Hendricks as, she's the only mean girl that I'm going to name because she plays Meredith in The Parent Trap and is still very relatable in this movie and that movie and is just a talent to behold today still.
I would also add that the actress that plays Toby is a very good like TV lawyer. She's played a TV lawyer. And
yes, I was like, she was in like Boston Legal or something, I think.
Yeah. And she's been in a couple other things. And she was really good.
Like she's like an active, like working actor. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very good. Very good.
Oh, and Justin Theroux.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course.
Justin Theroux. He plays like mysterious cowboy.
Mysterious cowboy. Does this follow the pattern?
I was trying to think individually. I was like, how does it follow the pattern? I was just like, I don't think it does. But then you brought up a good point when we started recording. You're like, it does follow the pattern because of Pretty Woman and how they're watching and reflecting on Pretty Woman. And then their lives are very similar to that as well.
Yeah. So the movie starts off with an I'm Just a Girl. I mean, we love No Doubt.
What a way to kick off the movie.
Yeah, so good. The intro is all of the patterns. Those patterns are worn throughout the movie. So fun. So fun. There's a pan over the beach. I just love these 90s movies intros. They're so fun, right? You know, they're panning over the beach. You're like in the building.
Which you can visit their apartment building in Venice. It's called like the Venice Suites or something. Like you can visit where they filmed that scene, which I think is so fun.
Because it looks awesome. That apartment looks awesome. Top floor apartment.
The traffic to get there is awful, but still, it seems worth it.
Seems worth it right there. And what do we have? We have Pretty Woman on the TV, and we have Romy and Michele making fun of Pretty Woman. Now, the scenes that they are watching are Julia Roberts being denied the ability to go shop on Rodeo Drive. And I love where Michelle's like, I just get really happy when they let her shop. Like,
because I love that Romy, like, and again, I think this was just a fun little nod to, you know how sometimes we say we've been friends for forever and we're still learning things about each other. They have been friends for 10 years. And even Romy's looking at Michele like, why are you reacting that way? And Michele has to say, like, I get really choked up when they let her shop. I'm so happy for her.
So I would say that in like directly is the pattern because the movie ends with Romy and Michele in their own clothing store on Rodeo Drive, spreading the joy of the fashions. Enjoy your fashions.
Have a Romy and Michele day.
Have a Romy and Michele day. So, I mean, full circle. It's all there. They started off, you know, making fun of Pretty Woman in bed, just like kind of eating junk food. And they end on Rodeo Drive with their own business, still best friends, still like all good. So perfect pattern, I think, full circle. So fun. There's a clueless closet. That's a clueless closet. When they're like, we have nothing to wear. And they like push it aside. I mean, like, come on. All you're missing is the like machine.
Which, why that machine still doesn't exist, I don't know. But that's a discussion for our Clueless episode.
They have nothing to wear. They're going to the club tonight. Now, editor Sam and I watched this together. Both of us have such a, I don't know, a gripe, I think is a good word, a gripe, because it was the 90s, a gripe about the weight shaming, all of the talk about weight in this movie. So Romy is like, yeah, you know, I lost a little bit of weight. I'm on this fat-free diet, you know, gummies, candies. I've been on it for 6 days. And it's like, well, I watched that when I was young and it sticks with you. That shit sticks with you. So
there's still so much unlearning. And it's interesting that like Sam, like I love that editor Sam has a gripe with this, but at the same time, it's very realistic. I can't remember what movie that we had watched recently that he had sat in with you, and maybe it was something with body glitter, and he goes, is this like an exaggeration? And you said, no, this is very much what our fashions were like, what our conversations were like. Like, this is very real. And unfortunately, this is also very real, that whole obsession with like fat shaming, and still to this day, diet culture. I mean, at least I don't know, like, do we say that we've made some strides? Not necessarily, because now people are going back into the conversations with like Ozempic and Mounjaro, and I'll go on a spiral if we keep going. But the conversations are still there where you're like, but have we grown? Maybe a little bit, but not so much.
It's like, Night at the Roxbury.
Yes. That's what this felt like.
That's what this felt like. Night at the Roxbury. Okay. Did you notice they're not drinking Diet Cokes?
Yeah, they were just said Diet Coke, extra cherries. So it's like, ooh, it's like a cherry Coke, which I love because I think it was also saying like, you don't need to drink to have fun.
Yep, you don't need to drink to have fun.
Because they make their own fun.
You don't need men to have fun. You can have fun just by yourself, right?
Well, even getting ready leading up into the club, they were just like, we are so cute. This might be the cutest we've ever been. And they're like, yeah, you know what? You're right. This is the cutest we've ever been. And then they would just go back and forth. Like, you know what? You know what's great about this is that we can say this to each other and we don't sound conceited. And Michele goes, no, we don't, because we're being honest. And I love that. I love that so much.
They also have a, maybe, do you want to have sex? Do you want to try it out?
Yes.
Maybe and Romy says, no, the idea of having sex with a woman creeps me out, but
I'm open to it in a couple of years if we're not married.
But let's revisit this when we're they're 28. So let's revisit this when we're 30. I mean, that's only 2 years, Romy.
Yeah. Which I thought was, because I was doing the math the second time around and I go, and then when you think about this is 97, I still feel like that line is ahead of its time because Will and Grace wasn't even like mainstream yet. And Ellen was already canceled. Like her before she had her show, she was canceled from her sitcom. And then she got canceled again for a whole different reason.
I'm laughing that you have to like differentiate between which time Ellen was canceled.
For very different reasons.
Very different reasons. I love this club scene, especially when you think of Night at the Roxbury. It's like, what is love? But just because they have such like girl conversations. Like, do you remember when I threw up from eating Mexican food? I hate throwing up in public. Like,
I love that we have the same notes because I was writing that too. Remember the time? Let's just go be ourselves. Like, and it's always that time that I barfed and the time we did this. Hey, remember that story? It's so fun, and that is girlhood.
It is girlhood. I also think the mortification of running into somebody from high school at your job is also girlhood. And the way that happens to Romy at the Jaguar dealer with Heather, Miss Janeane Garofalo. Oh my God. Janeane Garofalo. I love her. Well, I have not kept up with her work, but I love her 90s stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, did you remember first time watching this? I feel like maybe because we were at a younger age, you're led to believe that Heather Mooney is like this miserable person. Watching it now, I get Heather.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, why? I'm a totally different person because that is relatable. I remember, I think I was telling you, somebody had said something for like our graduating class. And somebody said like, oh, are we going to do like a high school reunion? And somebody commented, why? We're all following each other on socials either. I go, I don't even know who this person was in high school, but I clearly want to be friends with them now. I missed out on that friendship because so much respect for that person.
Well, yeah, I think you're exactly right. They play Heather Mooney to be like the weird, antisocial, like direct, like brisk kind of person. But like, I get it.
It's like maturing is when.
Yeah. Like,
and then she's like, are you, and then even, it's interesting because they're like, everybody still seems to be hung up on their high school crushes. And she was like, this is serious. Like, why do I want to go back and be with people who made my life miserable? You all sucked.
But also, I think the relatability of Heather Mooney, too, is she's like, no, I was very much in love with Sandy. There is a difference. There is a difference. It is not just a crush. I was deeply in love with Sandy. And you know what? That is what high school is like.
Yeah. Listen, when we've spoken on previous episodes, we're like, feelings are big.
Yeah.
Feelings are so big there because it really was like she felt like Romy was belittling those emotions that she had. Didn't you have like a thing for him? She was like, it was not a thing. It was so much more than that. And she was so jealous of Michele the whole time. And Michele would not give him the time of day.
Yeah, Michele was just like, yeah, whatever. And I think also, Jesse talked about growth. Like, growth is also realizing that, like, other people have problems too. And that's kind of like Heather's full circle moment at the end as well, which is just so great. It's so fun.
And also, shout out to boundaries on Toby when she confronts Heather in that scene. She was like, can you please be really nice? Because it hurts my feelings when you do this. I was like, wow. Toby has had growth too. But even in high school, when Heather is telling her to fuck off, Toby's like, will do, need to do my job first. As like, your book editor. Toby, in hindsight, talking this out, she has had the best boundaries out of everybody.
Editor Sam got a huge chuckle out of Heather inventing the quick burning paper for the cigarettes. He was just like, what the fuck? Like,
well, yeah. For considering his daytime job, he was like, that makes no sense.
But then seeing it in the context of the movie in between classes in a high school, it was like, oh, yeah, no, totally. But that's what vapes are for now, I guess. So,
yeah.
So
they just smell better.
Yes. One of my favorite scenes is when after Romy has this, I guess, interaction. It's not really a confrontation, this interaction with Heather at the dealership. And they're talking about, like, are you going to the reunion? It's been 10 years. Like, what are you doing now? After Heather leaves, Romy just like picks up the phone and there's a customer and she's like, no, Michele, you will not believe who I just ran into. That customer was like, what the fuck?
I will confess, and I can say this because I don't work at this place anymore. I have had moments where I would pick up the work phone and, it's portable. So I could leave, go, oh, I'm sorry, on a call. And I've made that call. You'll never guess what I just heard.
It's like, oh my God. Oh my God. It's too fun. It's too fun. Because you just love having a friend that you can call to gossip about something like that is a treasure because it's so silly and it's just like you had to be there type thing. And
well, it captures a specific moment in your life and that person's life too, which is, it's rare. Not everybody has those friends from high school or younger, or, it's just, it's like a time capsule in a way.
Well, and Jess, that's just so perfect because the time capsule we have now is this reflection of the yearbook. Now it's just like our flashbacks, you want to call them, because Romy and Michele are like, oh my God. And they open their yearbook and they're like, let's look for us. Like, what's going on? Like, there's Heather. Look, she's so weird going behind that building. What was she doing? Of course, she was trying to smoke and she had that cowboy who would just throw her his cigarette butts to light her cigarettes.
Because he couldn't and spoiler, I guess, since it's a million years later, it was all because he didn't know how to talk, or he was just he knew how to talk, but he had a stutter and he was self-conscious about his stutter. But here she is, a confrontational person. Like, what the hell, dude? I'm a human. I am a woman. You can't respect me. You're just going to flick your cigarette at me. And he's just been like, he was probably holding on to that the whole time. Especially when he starts making out with her.
He's like, oh, gosh. We have Romy and Michele in the same yearbook photo. She's like, yeah, we told him if he really wanted to be between us that bad.
That was hilarious. I've done that to somebody. And I still laugh about it because nothing happened. We're like, that was a joke. Did you think we were being serious?
Men, right?
You know what? If it was a fictional man, it would be a different story. But the person that I did that to, everybody would get a laugh out of it.
I love the line, didn't he die? It's just like so out of pocket. And you're just like, what?
That's so sad. I feel like that happens when you look back on your books too. You're like, oh, I heard about that. It's really sad.
It does. No, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. And this kind of yearbook reflection, though, it's like, were we in the A group? No. Were we in the B group? No. Were we in the C group? No. Well, like, where were we? Like, well, I guess, like, Michele, we were kind of like loners, right? We were always by ourselves. This is, again, where editor Sam and I have a gripe, where in these flashbacks, they play Romy as fat. Like, she's supposed to be fat. She's supposed to be chubby. Like, the whole bit is that she's fat. This is a thin woman. She looks thin.
She's thin the whole time. That's why I was like, where they just, and you had brought it up because I was thinking, like, where had they made her fat? Because she still didn't look fat. I didn't understand where the dialogue was coming from. And you said it was how they dressed her.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about the fashion of it all because it was it was quote unquote, it was a flashback. And usually in flashbacks, they tailor like hair and clothes to make you look differently when they're using the same actors. So it threw me. I was like, but how is she fat? Where is she fat? And that's also a continual like running thing through the high school reunion where they go, oh, it's Chubbo. Like they're being really, really nasty. But again, like that's this whole movie is, you know, being bullied and bullies in high school. And it's different for everybody.
Yeah, because they say like, Romy says like, oh my God, it's hamburger day. Like I love hamburger day. Like they play her as being this heavy girl. She's not. And the use of just, you said chubby and chubbo and, you know, we need to lose weight. We need to be in a diet. We need to look better it's a 90s thing. Like it's just the 90s thing. It's totally normal in the 90s. It's not now, but watching it now, I was just like, God damn. Like,
well, and who was it? Kate Moss was the one who said in the 90s, early 90s, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. And that permeates through every single facet of media through the 90s, through the early aughts. And there's a lot of unlearning we're still trying to do with that.
Yep. So much unlearning. Christy Masters. This is our mean girl.
Our head mean girl.
Our head mean girl. Oh my goodness. Our head mean girl. She's dating Billy Christensen. Billy Christensen is who Romy has a crush on. I cannot. Okay. Editor Sam could not believe that these mean girls took the time to get a bag full of magnets to torment this girl. And I looked at him and said, absolutely they would. Absolutely.
Oh, here, that's why you see my confused face. I was like, he couldn't believe that?
He couldn't believe that they would put that much effort into bullying someone. And I was just like, well, you're clearly dating, I mean, whoa.
You never knew any mean girls, or they hid it very well from you.
Yeah, like this is light. This is light bullying.
Yeah, this is just, you get laughed at, which it really is tame.
Yeah, I mean, this is tame. But again, he was surprised at the effort that these girls went into to like get a bag of magnets, like carry it around with them, wait for the opportunity to go put these magnets on Michele on her scoliosis brace, because Romy and Michele are played as like the loners. Michele has scoliosis and Romy is the chubby girl, like,
which is it's so interesting because it's like they recognize in hindsight that they were like, we didn't belong in our group. We just kind of were us. And then even flash forward to the high school reunion and like they're making up after their fight. Michele even says, Romy, she goes, I didn't think our lives sucked. I thought we were like, until you said something, it's always just been you and I. And I had a great time in high school because of that. I didn't get sucked into all these other things.
It's important to point out that Christy wanted to be a TV anchor woman. I want to point that out for later.
I know exactly the line to you let her to.
Yep. And then we have prom, right? Prom. Oh, also Lisa. Lisa is the outlier of the mean girls. And she, you know, as we said, she's like, no, I like their clothes.
Yeah, she was the first one to like stick up. It almost kind of reminded me of Gretchen in Mean Girls, where she realizes it's better to be on the inside than on the out from Regina George and them. So it reminded me of that because she does stick up. Actually, it's not that bad. And she's always had an eye for their fashion, they actually made that in home ec. Like, that's actually pretty good based on their own patterns that they made. Like, she was already saying all those things. And then when Christy looked over at Lisa, she backed down like, oh, well, okay, I guess so, because such is life.
Such is life. Prom. What I don't understand about prom, such as life at prom, is that it's the last day of school.
Yeah.
I don't understand that, but
No, what I did understand that I did not when I was younger was when Michele says, yeah, Romy, go ask whatever his face is. He's clearly like Ken, I don't know, Christy's husband. Go ask him to dance. It's the last day of school. No one's going to say no tonight. Right over my head when I was a kid.
Oh, mm-hmm. Yeah.
But watching that, I was laughing. I go, I didn't see that.
I have to say it. When we're doing the prom flashbacks, they said, you got so thin for prom. Mm-hmm. Yes, mono was the best diet.
Yeah.
Just like, damn. But they did really look fantastic in their Madonna outfits.
They called them the Madonna twins like it was some sort of insult. And I was like, they looked fire. They looked better than anybody else. And speaking of the mono comment, that's very similar to The Devil Wears Prada when she goes, I'm one stomach flew away from my goal weight.
Mm-hmm. It's permeated.
And that's like in the 2000s. Mm-hmm. So like that's another thing where it's like it hasn't really gone away.
Yeah, it's like, no. So the big thing at prom is just, as you said, Romy asked Billy to dance, and he says, yeah, wait here. And they wait. She waits all night. But then and I'll tell you right now, this is my favorite scene when, yeah, see, you already know.
I teared up. I know exactly which scene that you're talking about.
It's right here. I'll dance with you. Like, I'll dance with the way that the delivery, it's like, well, I'll dance with you. It's just like, oh my gosh. And then Romy and Michele just danced together the last night of school on prom. Just the two of them after Romy had her heart, like, just break by this asshole guy who didn't care at all and drove away with Christy. Like, awful. And even after Christy was like, it did a whole little, like, you stole my boyfriend. Like,
she was out for Romy for no other reason it wasn't like, oh, I'm out for you because I don't like you. Like, it was for no other reason but to be mean. That's her only MO was she got off on being a terrible person towards other people.
Yeah.
Specifically them.
It's bad. It was bad. Romy, you look so good with black hair or with blonde hair and black roots. Like, you look so good. You look so good. The song that Romy and Michele are dancing with each other to at prom is Time After Time.
Another full circle.
Mm-hmm. Full circle. Okay. It is from this moment on where Romy and Michele realize, I guess not realize, start to think that their lives aren't good enough from this moment on in the laundromat, because they've got the questionnaires, they're like filling everything out, and they're just like, I'm a cashier, I'm unemployed. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Although I do like Romy's spin on it. Like, that's how you would indicate on a resume.
Yes, you fluff that shit up. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that was smart. That is how you should reword it. Oh, I'm a freelance consultant, unemployed. Yeah. But yeah, because again, this movie took place in the 90s. There are no socials. They're all focusing on how to, like, this is what I'm up to now in my life. I think we talked about it on our Josie and the Pussycats episode where Alan Cumming is like, everybody waits for their high school reunion to show everybody how much better they are. Like, you got to do this so much faster. And so actually talking it out, this is really funny that he has another high school comment, reunion thing. But that's how I guess they were doing surveys to be like, oh, like, where are you at in life now? Or how impressive are you? And people almost went to high school reunions, I'm assuming, to be like, look how I turned out. Because those are essentially the only people who are, at that time, I would think, who would want to be going back or to live their glory days, or to prove to the people who bullied them, you're not so hot now, are you?
And yeah, you're putting it in a really fantastic context too, because it's the 90s. There are no socials. Like okay. I remember my mother saying to me that you don't have to worry about these people. You will never see them again when I was in school. But like, no, not true. Untrue.
It doesn't feel like that at the time though either.
Exactly. But like now for us, it's like you can choose to like, you know, or you cannot choose. But back then in the context of this movie, it was like this or nothing, right?
Yeah.
Like to get the gossip, to get the tea, to get anything, like unless you actually kept in contact with these people, like through the mail, actual mail or phone, like it was not happening. Like email, no, not really. Like, not really. No. So like it was really a thing. So I think, yeah, having that in context is really important. Because then because what they're asking you to do is to like distill your life into like a paragraph, right? In those questionnaires. So when Romy and Michele are like, well, unemployed, single, like living together for the past 10 years, like.
And that's a societal thing of like, if you're single, that's not really an accomplishment. Because you're not in a relationship, that's not an accomplishment.
Yeah, and like you're still living together with your like high school best friends. Like, you know, what do? You know, like you don't have a career. So this is why it's like, well, our life on paper isn't as impressive as we thought. So then why go? Just like what you're saying, like why go then? And it's like, well, I still want to go though, is what they say. Like,
yeah, Michele, like I love Michele. She was like, I get that, like, you're not thrilled, but and this ties into, she's like, high school was fun for me. I liked high school, you know, and she liked it because of her friend. And she's like, and I'd want to go with you. Like, that's the only way it would be fun. And of course, they're like, it's, you know, this goes to the theme of like being your own person, because they were thriving when they were like not pretending. When they were pretending being somebody they weren't having a great time. But then when they like leaned into their true Romy and Michele selves, they were thriving. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, like you're so cool. Especially once you have the associate editor of Vogue give the seal of approval and the most successful person in their class.
Oh, we love it. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. We have another weight comment here. Like, oh, I hate to say it, but maybe we should lose weight. I love what Michele says. Like that chip's going to make a difference. It wasn't even a whole chip.
No, that's not going to count.
No, it's not going to count.
Michele is the voice of reason.
Yep. Then we have their fantastic gym outfits and all of their like little gym montages.
Cute. Those gym fits were so cute. You know, I love when Romy was like, what does this remind you of? And all I could think of is Ariana Grande's Side to Side, which obviously they were too.
Yeah.
And they were laughing. She's like, Romy. She's like, this instructor is very sick.
Yeah, it's like, this is disgusting. I love it. We have Michele trying to get jobs at Rodeo Drive and at Barney's. And I love what she says.
R.I.P. Barney's.
Yeah, R.I.P. I love what she says. She's like, you shouldn't let people apply if you don't have any intention of hiring anybody.
So fucking true.
So true. So true. Say it louder.
Also wild that Versace was Johnny for Versace. I always remember it as Versace, but it was the 90s.
It was the
R.I.P.
90s.
Johnny.
Yep. R.I.P. R.I.P. You know, any job is better than no job. Yeah. So, you know, to the discount bargain bin we go. I love it. She's like, I need to be not here. I need to go. Shout out, singled out.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
When I saw that, what a throwback.
My heart stopped. I was like, I know this. And
you know what was even worse is when she goes, our cutoff is 25. Go to VH1.
Ugh. My great age. I wish they could have gotten Carmen Electra there to do a cameo. I think that would have been really good.
Was she the host?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's gorgeous.
We should not have been allowed to watch Singled Out as children.
There were a lot of things. I really think the only reason we were allowed to watch certain things, it was the same thing as lyrics. Because how long did you know two became one was about two becoming one?
No.
Exactly.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I shout out to editor Sam's favorite line in this movie, which is, I cut my foot before and my shoe is filling up with blood. Sam lost his mind. He had to do a lap around the house. He was laughing so fucking hard.
Well, for him, that's not an exaggeration. He would be.
He would.
Not only would he has been to the hospital for things filling with blood.
It's too funny.
I love this because this was his first time watching it, right? I assume so.
Yep, and he lost his mind here, and especially when she limps away.
She was dedicated. You know what? That's what I was really impressed with, was not only that she just spewed this line and walked away, she was dedicated to the bit, and we love a dedication to the bit.
We love it. We love it. I just, it's too good. I work at a suit factory. Okay, sir. Okay. Romy's having no luck finding boyfriends. They're doing the treadmill in heels. They are going to AA meetings. They're trying.
Which I will say, I feel like they tried to mock them as their characters during the treadmill in heels. But
it's so hard.
It's so hard. It works your calves. It works your glutes. And Mariah Carey does it too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, I love that. It's oh my God, no, fuck this. We're not going to go. We're just not going to go. And they binge eat. Right. And then they're looking at all these.
Which is also relatable in girlhood.
Also relatable.
I'm just going to eat because at this point, all this food I'm eating right now is not going to make a difference.
Yep, it's not going to make a difference. But then they're looking at magazines. And they're like, oh my God, look at these executives. It's they're not executives, they're models. And it's whoa, light bulb. We can just fake it till you make it.
And they did.
Yeah,
they did. And they did it so well.
Yeah, they
Those
did.
Those are the best business suits I've ever seen.
Yeah. And so it is from here where they decide to fake it till they make it, where it's all right, we have a plan. We have a time frame. Let's go. What are we going to do? Well, you need to make us the clothes, Michele. Me, Romy, I will go get a car, because we can't show up in my Nova if we're going to be businesswomen. If we're going to be executives, right? We have to, as you said, Jess, commit to the bit, right?
And they do. And I love this because I love this scene for two parts where Romy's getting the car, because first he's she goes to Ramon. Ramon's from at work, has a crush on her. He's you got to put something in there for me. And she's I'm not having sex with you. And he's well, make people think we're having sex. So he's telling her what to say. She's it reminds me of when you see in girlhood, when you share your sexting stories or something, and they're oh yeah, I was totally just eating a bag of Pringles and copy and pasting from oh, what's on AO3 today that I could copy and paste and make them think I said this, which I thought was so funny. And that's literally what she's doing. And then she's okay, gotta go, bye. And he goes, but that's it. And she goes, you want it to be believable? Cracked up. Again, these are things that went over my head when I was young. And then even when Romy gets the car and she goes, okay, we're ready to go. And Michelle's how'd you wind up getting this? And she's oh, I gave handjobs to everybody at work. And Michele was a ride or die. She's oh, cool. Well, I made the mixtape kind of thing. And Romy was so offended that, again, this is the 70s. This is the 90s. This is the 90s. So slut shaming was still very, very real, very rampant. And Romy was offended. But I think you, Laura, took it as Michele was just good on you. I support this. And I loved that because that's where Michele was so supportive of it. And Romy was offended. But again, it was because it was the 90s.
Yeah, it's do what you got to do. Editor Sam wants me to point out that as a Spanish speaker, Ramon saying cara mia, in Spanish, that would mean my face.
No, yeah, I noticed. I was like, which is so weird that I actually picked it up. Why did I never translate it till now? And I think it's because I saw it on the screen because I had the subtitles up. But I thought that too. I was like, that. I think it only sounds endearing because it's another language.
Did you clock this Game Boy?
No.
No, you didn't clock the Game Boy?
I don't think I must have looked away. No.
Did you clock the Krupp's coffee maker in the back of the car?
Yeah. Was that had to be like a brand thing for the thing in the back of the car?
Well, they didn't notice it. Like, it was there and then it was gone in the next take.
Oh.
Not addressed.
Okay. I didn't notice that they took it out. I noticed when she pulled up that it was there, and I go, oh, they really borrowed the car. But I didn't realize that they took it. I didn't realize that they cut that. Interesting. No, I didn't know that.
My last note on this, these notable things about the car is the flip phone.
She was so excited. She was like, well, it's funny because even when they're at the reunion and Romy's trying to like save her ass about talking to A team, or A group. And she goes, does anybody want to use my flip phone? Like when things get socially awkward and you start just like spewing the most random shit. I got a flip phone. You want to see it?
I have a comment on that scene. I am excited to get to it. The Game Boy is what Michele is playing while they are driving to Tucson from LA. While she's playing it right before she gets in the car window battle with the kid.
Okay.
Yeah. which is also very fun. Also, my lips are that big. Oh, the 90s. So fun. Changing.
What a time, because now fillers for life.
Yep. What a time. Changing into their executive outfits at the, Wild Bill's Cafe. That's very funny.
Yeah. Like a roadside diner.
With Bill Christensen being like Romy's crush, and she's the one driving, which is just very fun, very fun. Cringe moment. Do you have a businesswoman special? Oh my God, no. No.
But you know what? Digging deep into it, the 90s were a time. They were like, remember when they're cultivating their personas? They're like, oh, we went to business school. We made up Post-its. Because after this, they're like, well, how did we get famous? You know?
After the waitress calls him out.
Like, oh, what are you in business for? Which I also thought it was maybe because she's like, are y'all escorts? Because that was a low-cut blazer kind of thing. And she was older. And I was like, it could be read that way. But they thought to themselves, like, okay, well, what are we in business for? We did not think this whole thing through. And they're like, okay, well, we came up with and this is what leads to the fight. Well, we came up with the Post-its, and we went to college, and Michelle's like, oh, we went to college. That's so good. That sounds really good. And it's so interesting because in the 90s, the idea of college wasn't at the fore. Like, there was still conversations of there's so many different ways you can have a career. College isn't the only choice. And obviously that's not the path that they took. But it's just like, what a shift in society that like college became this mandatory thing. And you're still fucked. So it doesn't even matter. I mean, obviously there's the careers that you need the degree for. But it was again, a little bit deeper. Then I was like, there was a time where you didn't need all these other things and you can still survive. Because they were surviving on one paycheck as a receptionist, essentially, because Michele wasn't employed.
Have you ever had a fight like this with your friend?
Probably. Definitely. Well, yeah, I've had friend fallouts all the time, but I've never made up with them, except you.
Would you call this like a serious fight?
I think the things that they were saying were serious.
Yeah.
That's what I think, because they both said, it was like, oh, so that's how long have you, it felt like, well, how long have you been holding on to that? And I think it also makes it worse because they were probably things that they already thought about themselves, and the person they cared most in the world is saying it about them.
Agree. I absolutely agree. And the fight that they have essentially is that Michele is dumb and she can't have a bigger part in their lie because the people that they're lying to have known them since elementary school. And Romy does not feel that if Michele had a bigger intellectual part in their lie, that it would be believable. And that is harsh.
Yeah.
That's a harsh thing.
And she took it as such. Rightfully, I think I would have taken it the same. I think anybody would have taken it the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, they pull over because they're driving and they pull over and they have this thing. They're just like, well, we're done. We're done. We're splitting up when we get to Tucson. Like, we're done.
I like how they clarified it because I think for a hot second, Michele was like, wait, do you mean we're done? Like, you're leaving me here? And she's like, well, when we get to Tucson.
When we get to Tucson. A big part of this fight is like, you know, I'm the Mary, you're the Rhoda. That's just like a big part of it. It's like, I'm cuter. Well, you know, I get asked.
Yeah, I feel like the punches they were pulling were really, really low blows and hurtful ones too. I still hate it.
Yeah, it's not great. But it is from here. And then it's, you know, like, no wonder you couldn't find his boyfriends. It just is really hard. But from here, we go to the dream sequence, which you might not know is a dream sequence if you're not paying close attention.
The way it transitions, you don't think it's a dream sequence. I feel like because it had been so long since we watched it. Did you have wait, I don't remember this. Or did you pick up on it immediately? I was like, I think it was the viscosity part that I was like, wait, I think this is a dream.
Okay, so I picked up on it when I noticed that the decorations and the pictures hanging on the walls
of only Christy.
Yeah, like Christy and like some of the other mean girls. Yeah. And that they were all in the same kind of outfits that they were in prom. Like the fashion hadn't like updated, which part of it could be like, oh, well, that would be like a dress code, you know, like throwback, you know, like theme, you know, because that could be it. But, you know, looking back, you're like,
that would be fun. I mean, not in like having a throwback theme to, because the music was all from their high school graduating class. So I could see like the fashion being, I definitely still have I know you still fit into everything from high school. I know I still fit into like one of my junior year homecoming dress. I think I still have because I still like it. I'd still wear it today.
Yeah, I think I still have all of my formal dress. I'm not sure. I know
you have that green one that I'm obsessed with that I call it your Aylin dress.
Yep, I've got it. It is so pretty. I love it so much. I love this dream sequence though, where Michele just spits the formula for glue.
Do you know that was improvised?
I did not until I was doing research.
I did. The reason, like when we do our fun facts research, when that was improvised, and the whole thing about them being smart, like they're both brilliant women. Lisa Kudrow has her undergraduate degree from Vassar in biology, and then Mira has a degree, I can't remember what it is, but from Harvard.
Yeah.
So like they nicknamed each other Smarter and Smarter. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, it's good. I love when Michele does this to the mean girls too, because it's like, oh my God, you know, you did it. Are you an anchor woman? She goes, I'm a weather girl.
Well, I like this part too. They're like, you must be the most successful person in our class, Michele. And she goes, yeah, and you're not. Bye.
Yeah, and you're not.
Just
bye.
Like dips. She straight up dips.
But what else is happening in this dream sequence? Like Romy meets up with Billy. You know, they have this moment in the car. This is when Michele interrupts and she gets hit by a car.
You know, I was watching this and it makes me think, because again, I hadn't seen this, and we have our Mean Girls episodes from last year or the year before. I wonder if Tina Fey pulled inspiration from Romy and Michele for Mean Girls between like the hit with the limo and the back brace, because Regina George has it for like her neck brace. There were little things because it is part of that Mean Girls culture.
Yep. You make, as always, such brilliant points. You're so good on that. The limo that hits Michele, did you notice when she gets inside of it, it like echoes? It's like cavernous.
Yes, because I thought it was supposed to be like, oh, look how big this is. It's echoing.
Yeah. It was just too funny. They start making out in this limo, and if you couldn't tell that it was a dream sequence, here comes Toby flying by,
and then Sandy Frank flying out.
Yeah,
and also like it went from the skylight being closed to all of a sudden it being there.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. And then Toby's like, the vote. And Michelle's like, what vote? I can't find my top. I'm sorry, everybody. I can't find my top. They're in the Christie room. Go get your medal, baby. This is the medal for most changed for the better. This is when both Romy and Michele win. Of course, we're in the dream. And if you didn't know it was a dream, the cars inside the building will be a dead fucking giveaway when they both get in the cars inside the building and drive outside of the building. And they both go their separate ways. 70 years later.
70 years later, they're with their people that they like. And I think it's funny because it's Michelle's subconscious who has this crush on Sandy, but clearly couldn't admit it in high school because I guess, high school hierarchy and all that. She's, married to Sandy, and Romy is married to Billy, and Michele is all in her feels, and she's just like admiring her like award from the reunion. And, Sandy's in tune to her, and he's like, you miss your best friend, don't you? And she's like, I do. And he's like, call her. Y'all are old. Call her. Like you would love this. And they like go to FaceTime her, which is like so funny because, then it's just like this concept of FaceTiming, but now it's in every, like a regular occurrence. And Michele talks to Romy's son, and she's like, let me talk to your mother. Like, tell her it's me. Like, I know she's dying. I want to say hi to her. And they're still stuck on their fight. They're like, she's like, I don't want to fucking talk to you. I was cracking up. Unless you admit that you're the Rhoda, the Mary. I don't know. I don't know the show, but like whatever that reference is. And then she dies. She fucking dies flipping her off. And it's sad, but also I feel like there are people I know, myself included, who would die being that stubborn.
You pasty hag on your deathbed.
Oh, but you want to know something? Lisa Kudrow looked good.
That red dress.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like her, all gray in that red dress with the volume. Good for her.
Editor Sam wants me to point out that Alan is just shaking. Like he's just he's just shaking next to her. Like
he's ready for club climbing already.
Yeah, he's ready. He's ready. He feels the beat. So that's the dream. And Michele like goes to hit the button and like hang up on Romy, and it turns out to be like the car horn. Like she wakes up, and now we're at the real reunion. And here we go, real reunion. We walk in, Billy, where's Billy? Try the bar. Okay. Awesome. The fashion here. This is the 90s. We have Asian dresses. We have sequins. We have velvet. I mean, 3 of those things 2 out of 3, not bad. 2 out of 3, not bad. I love, Jess, as you mentioned earlier, Romy and Lisa talking, and Lisa goes, yeah, I'm the like assistant editor of Vogue. Jessica. This looked like Jessica.
Yeah, that would have been a good Jessica in that scene. I know we talked about Cate Blanchett before, but I think having an understanding post-reading Hofast of like her age of what she would look like, this is a good Jessica.
Yeah, it was a good Jessica.
And the pantsuit, everything about it. It was good.
Yeah. And I really liked this like scene too, because she's like, yeah, and Romy's like, oh my God, like, good job. And it was just like this, like, wow.
Yeah. And even talking about the friends, like, I think Romy was very much like, she's always had Michele her whole life, like in her friendship. So she also assumed that everybody else would have that same type of relationship with their friends. So she's like, oh, where's the rest of your friends? And she's like, I'm sure around. I don't really keep in touch with them. And you can tell she has her professional demeanor on, because she's very much like, oh, well, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she's in networking mode, and I love this for her.
Yeah. Work it. Get it. We love it. Romy then talks herself up, right, to go talk to the mean girls. All of the mean girls are pregnant, and so we meet again. Oh, the chubby girl. Fuck off, Christy. Fuck off. Yeah, pregnant with my third. Well, you must be very tied down. I'm very fulfilled.
Oh, she was. And keep in mind, they're 28. So she has 3 kids at 28. And like, this is not shitting on anybody who listens to us. If you are 28 and have 3 kids, we're totally shitting on the mean girls right now.
Shitting on the mean girls.
But I mean, Romy's not wrong. And I'm sure a lot of parents could agree. No, 3 kids is a lot. That ties you down, you know? And she's like, and Christy has to vocally validate her decision. Be like, I'm very fulfilled. Okay.
And the way that she says it too, like, okay, keep telling yourself that, Christy, and that it will come in later. We love it. So what do you do? What do you do, Romy? And here we go. It is hard. Okay. It is hard to watch Romy embarrass herself like this. Yeah. It is very hard. It is hard to watch Heather come in and just bust the story. It's hard to see her deflate like this. The director said that Will Ferrell was supposed to be in this scene, and he was supposed to be a waiter that was going to come in and interrupt this conversation with a phone call for Romy, and she was going to take it, and she was going to be crying, and that was going to get her out of this conversation. But they cut that scene because everyone felt so bad for Romy, and it just never ended up playing for laughs. Everybody just felt like devastated for her because we were connected to her as a character. Right. So we wanted like less.
Yeah, I read that he was supposed to do a cameo, but I didn't see the depths of to like how.
Interesting. Which was, which I can see where, like, but I think not having that and having Michele come in to defend her is so much more important.
Oh, and impactful, because keep in mind, they have both simultaneously been telling people, oh, we had a falling out. Romy was telling Lisa, oh, it's so weird when your friends aren't your friends anymore. I haven't been friends with Michele for 2 hours. And then Michele is unloading on another group of friends. She's like, y'all are so easy to talk to. Meanwhile, that this group of friends, like, you've never talked to us in your entire life.
My note is Romy and Michele make up by a pink wall and a plant. Which is true. It's fun. It is, a high school reunion. It is, the decorations are what they are. I think that apologizing is for other people. No, I think that apologizing is very important and shows maturity, strength, and growth, and is not something easily done and is an indicator of courage. Having said that, I would rather die sometimes. So having Romy and Michele apologize to each other, have this makeup moment, and acknowledge, in some cultures, maybe you're cuter.
Yo, I died. I was like, that is still harsh. That is still harsh. That was still girl, Michele, no, you're literally saying the same thing in a different font.
Yeah, it's here's a backhanded compliment.
Yeah. I died. But I don't even want to say the sentiment is there, but the sentiment of them acknowledging we both fucked up. I fucked up because of X, Y, and Z. you know, they both apologized for like what their actions were. They're like, what's worse than like all of this shit is like losing your best friend. Like that's what would actually suck. So of course, like it's funny because, and what is, you know, Michele stands up for her. She's very domineering, and Michele again, and I like to emphasize this, it's like they've been friends for 10 years. And Romy's like, I have never seen this side of you, and I really, really like it.
Yeah. And it's really good. What isn't good is when Christy gets up and gives the welcome, and she's like, oh my God, like we have an NFL player and we have the Vogue editor, and then we have like Romy and Michele claimed to invent Post-it.
Which also, everybody's laughing. Honestly, if her delivery, I would have been like, Romy's not wrong. I did not know who invented. Good for them.
Yeah. And also, speaking to the delivery, knowing their personalities, like, yeah, like they probably like, ha 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 ha, like it's funny.
That would
joke.
make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't, again, mean girls. My note is, Christy, head tilt, little high thing. When everybody is laughing at Romy and Michele, you know, they run out, you know, I just wanted to be better than we were in high school. You know, I just didn't want to be a joke. This is again where Michele is saying, like, just as you mentioned, like, I had a blast in high school. I didn't realize we were losers until you said anything. Like, you know, stop being a baby. Like, let's just go and be ourselves. And yeah, Michele, I like you, bossy and domineering. Like, how fun. And then we change clothes. And then we have the part of the reunion that we have all seen 1,000 fucking times.
At what point do you think the conversation was when they were packing for this day trip? I know you love the timeline on this because they left in the morning and got there right in time for the reunion. Like you mapped that out. I know you were thrilled when you found that out. At what point do you think they were like, they're like, oh, we should have a backup outfit the whole time?
That never occurred to me because I overpack. So of course you'd have outfits.
That would make sense. Okay. I guess like I was just thinking of it now because they had never planned to stay the night. Or I assumed so. That's on me. Anyway, I digress.
Maybe they were club clothes.
True.
You know?
True.
Who knows? Who can say? What I do want to say is that Romy in that blue dress, correct? That's a nice little Star Trek logo. Nobody's going to say it. I'm going to say it. Communicate, beat me up. It's, you know, a little bigger than it usually is, but like, hot damn. You know, we love it for her. And of course, we love Michele in the pink. Just tell me about Romy telling off Christy.
It was glorious. I mean, just her coming to Romy's defense, and then Romy saying like, I did this for you because I just wanted to feel like not even feel like a person. I wanted to be treated like a person. I think that's important because she's always felt like a person, but she wanted to be treated as somebody from her peers, which was never given. And then she was like, you know, finding her self-confidence and finding like herself. But she's like, and then she was like, that was the moment that she realized, but I don't need that. My life actually is pretty okay. And it was fine, you know, kind of regurgitating what Michele had said. And then Christy is just so taken aback that somebody had stood up to her and confronted her. She's like, well, what did Christy say? She's like,
we still think you're ridiculous, right, yeah. Girls?
And
that's where Lisa comes in.
Yeah, Lisa comes in and she goes, actually, their clothes aren't bad. And this is after Lisa has gotten her accolades about being, associate fashion editor at Vogue. And she's like, they're really not that bad. It's original. It's colorful. It's different than what anything's out there. So because Lisa gave this seal of approval, everybody else, it's interesting. It's like the I don't want to say the tyranny, but like the leader has shifted from Christy to Lisa in a way, because it was still somebody's seal of approval. Because then the rest of the class was like, oh yeah, Romy, Michele, we totally like your fits. You all didn't say a goddamn thing when they walked in before.
Yep. And again, Christy tries to take the tide of the public, opinion back, where she's like, we're just a dried up career woman.
Oh, yeah.
We're all happily married. And that's where Lisa is like, you keep telling yourself that. About that. But again, yeah, that's when everybody turns to them and is like, yeah, we actually really do like your outfits. And that's where Romy was like, yeah, we designed and sewed them 50-50, right? Like, we did all of it. This is also where Heather apologizes to Romy and Michele. And I really like this. Again, apologizing is difficult. But Heather here is like, I did not realize, and this is where it's like other people's shoes. I did not realize the whole time that, Michele, you were making my life hell because I was in love with Sandy and he was in love with you. It never occurred to me that you, who are just like so beautiful and have everything in my eyes, that you are being like horrifically bullied by these other people. That never occurred to me because you were so perfect. And it just goes to show, like, there are tiers, right? Like, American high school is a weird thing. And there's like tiers and like social structures, especially in the 90s. It was just like this weird thing. So then when it comes again, when Toby comes in and is like, yo, Heather, like, don't tell me to fuck off again. It like really hurts my feelings as you're talking about boundaries. Heather is like, oh my God, I impacted somebody negatively. I actually had a negative impact on somebody. Oh my God. And that was, I mean, it's played for laughs and it is kind of funny, but like her face is just like, yeah, go get your fucking yearbook. I will sign your yearbook.
She was so thrilled that she, again, even though it was negative, she's like, I made an impact on somebody. I didn't know what, like, I had that. I had that.
Yeah, it's just like, oh my gosh. And then she's like, tremendous. It's so fun.
So thrilled.
I love the camera work on Toby where she like, it's like right on her face and she's like, come on, everybody. Sandy just landed with a helicopter. It's very good camera work. Everybody like runs out and we see Sandy enter and he goes right to Michele. And it's Alan. He's like, oh my God, Michele, after all these years, you still take my breath away. Editor Sam wants me to point out that he would like an itemized list of who is this extra 24 staff. If they're not included in the boats and the mansions and the house.
Oh, where he's like, she's like, oh, you have everything. He was like, well, if you count, and then he does like a listicle of all the things. He's like, if you think that's me having everything, I guess technically I have everything, but what I really don't have is you.
Yeah. It's like, oh, nice. She's like, I love it. This three-way dance.
Iconic three-way dance.
Barefoot. They're barefoot.
Yeah.
Love it.
Very contemporary, interpretive dance.
It's so fun. Romy's at the end. I mean, just YouTube it. It's glorious. But at the end of it, Romy's like, I told you go to the clubs every night. It would pay off. I was like, you're doing ballet, sort of. Like, what? This is not like...
It's so... Well, the fact that I know it's a 90s. I know it's a 90s dance sequence. The nobody's trained for knowing the choreo identically. Maybe it's like, in ye old times, everybody knew like in the Vampire Diaries, they all know the same Mystic Falls waltz, and everybody knows like a specific, and ACOFAE, there's the Fae waltz. Like, maybe this is something everybody knew. I don't know.
I don't think this was standard cotillion fare, but we could be. I could be wrong. Heather and the cowboy. I mean, this is the end of the movie. Heather and the cowboy reunite over cigarettes, and this is where Justin Theroux just starts talking.
Honestly, I also really appreciate Heather Mooney's skepticism with him. She's like, what the fuck do you want? No. And then she's like questioning his motives the entire time. I really, same Janeane.
Mm-hmm. I love it. You want to go somewhere to talk? I'll rip your dick off. Yes. She's like, I just wanted to talk. And she's like, fine, let's go talk. Pick up the pace, cowboy. Like, it's good. What's your name? Clarence. It's just really good. Sandy, I'll prep my chopper. I want a man to look at me in a non-kidnapping situation and say, I'm going to prep my chopper.
Get in the chopper.
In a not kidnap situation. Like, please get in the chopper to take you away to your private, like, oasis of glory. I don't know, like something. But no, I'll prep my chopper. I love, this is again going back to female friendships, that it never occurs to Sandy that Romy wouldn't come.
Yeah. Shout out editor Sam.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, is Jessica coming?
It's like, yeah. She's like, are we going?
He's like, oh, we're going to Terracin. Jess is coming, by the way.
Just coming? Like, we going? It's really good. Like, they are together. They're a pair. Like, it never occurs to him to not take Romy with them. And then Michelle's like, yeah, we're going home. It's like, back to, it's just really nice. I fucking love this revenge on Billy.
Oh, where he's vomiting in the bushes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, go wait upstairs.
Yeah, you go upstairs, get a room. She's like, you're married to Christy. He's like, yeah, but like, that kid, I don't think is mine. And like, successful real estate developer.
All of their family tea.
And they're like, whoa.
I don't want to touch this. And even Michele right away, he's like, you both had a crush on me. And Michele was like, she did. It was not me.
Not me.
She did not want any part of that.
She's like, all right, go get a room, go get naked. I'll be up in 5 minutes. I love it. Oh, it's good. I also like when Sandy and Michele kiss and she's like, oh, I'm glad you don't have your big notebook anymore. It's just like, I didn't get that as a kid.
I did not get that as a kid at all. And I even, like, it's funny because you can enjoy it now. I also like the fact that it was never about the money for Michele, really. She was, like I said, like her subconscious dreaming was like she's always had a crush on him, but she couldn't, high school hierarchy. And then, while everybody doesn't know how to interact with him when he's like comes off of his helicopter to the reunion, she was like, what are you doing here? She's like trying to act so blasé and unbothered. But she always liked him. So I think it's cute.
What isn't cute is the helicopter kicking up Christy's dress, so we get to see that fake belly. I love.
It's a good bad fake belly. You know how we love a good bad wig? Like, that's a good bad fake belly.
It is a good bad fake belly. I don't know if it's Romy or Michele. I think it's Romy. That's like, gosh, I just wish everybody would come out and watch us take off in the helicopter. It's like, that's real shit, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
We love that. We love that. We also love like the pan over as the helicopter's going with Heather and the cowboy. Go for it, Heather.
And then they stay. And so they get back home and they stay friends with Heather. That's also like a beautiful part. Like, it's an addition to their little friendship circle, their friendship group. And they have their new store and Heather's there supporting it. She's like, rip the tag off, ring it up for me. Like, I guess, and I thought that was really sweet. And that even them talking about it, Romy and Michele, she's like, I feel like we've come so far with her. And Michelle's like, I feel like I gave birth to a giant baby who says shit a lot.
And who smokes. Like, we just love her. You're right. Cause Michele says she's my baby. And Romy says, like, we gave her a big gift, the ability to express herself through fashion, right? Enjoy your fashion. This is the end of the movie. You're the funniest person I know. I know, me too. About you.
I love that.
Let's fold scarves. And that's the end of the movie. Maybe we'll pay back Sandy, maybe not soon. because they're in their store on Rodeo Drive. So this is full circle with the pretty woman, Romy and Michele. We love this. This is a very like clean cut, lovely ending that I feel like you don't see a lot, where they're still friends. They're running a successful like business. Like they've made another female friend and like everybody is kind of happy. And you notice that Sandy isn't in there trying to like do things or like working.
Like, he financed, like, he was like the Kickstarter of the whole thing. And it wasn't a gift. Like, I feel like that was something
because they're paying it back.
Yeah. They're like, I think because, Michelle's like, I think we could pay it back. And they're like, maybe 2 years. Not this week, though. She's like, oh, okay. But they were adamant. I'm sure, like, there's maybe not, like, he's not taxing them or something. He just, there's no interest on what he's put out on the loan. But I feel like that was something that they were adamant about, too. Like, no, thanks for the startup money, but we're going to pay our dues, too. Because they also, like, had that much faith in themselves and their friendship and what they can bring to the, like, to what they're doing with fashion, because they were, they were making their own stuff. That it was their designs.
That's the end. That is the end of the movie. I love this movie. Jess, do you love this movie?
I love that. I think watching it this time will easily make this a rewatch movie. Just because I think we're both throughout this whole episode, we're like, I don't remember this. And also when we first watched this, the concept of female friendships and the depths to them weren't necessarily at the forefront of our conversations. We were kids. And also, like, as like the time, like even in the movie, you see it go from like, oh, there's no boys in the club, but like we still have our friends. Like the conversation shifted away from boys and like, oh, who's going to be there? Even in the car, who am I going to hook up with tonight at the dance? Like that was the conversation shifted between the friends too. I thought was really nice.
Jess, you have fun facts for us?
I do. I have some. I feel like some of ours will overlap. One of the first fun fact I really like is that it's based off of a screenplay called Ladies' Room, because the writer of the screenplay was talking about like drunk girls in the bathroom. And I was like, so it was always, so like at the very foundation of this movie was always about female friendships, because if anybody knows anything, obviously female bathrooms are just, when you're drunk at night anywhere, and even when you're not drunk, there is so much, everybody's so happy for each other and just wants to hype everybody up. So I love that this is consistent then when we weren't aware of this environment when we were kids. I think that's so fun. I think I said one of them earlier, that Lisa Kudrow improvised the lines for the recipe of Post-it glue. We talked about the nicknames and where they went to school, both Lisa and Mina. The soundtrack cost almost $1 million for licensing and rights, because it's hit after hit for 80s songs. My favorite fun fact is Alan Cumming has a bar in New York. I cannot believe we didn't find this information when we were doing our Josie and the Pussycats episode, but it's called Club Cumming. And every Saturday they have Romy and Michele themed, whether it's day or night, where it's all like 90s hits. And I thought like this movie came out in the 90s. So I was like, oh, this club came out like probably around then. So I looked it up. It's still alive and thriving. And I'm more mad about the people that I know who follow this club and go to this club. And it's in the East Village and did not tell me. And now I'm like, and I know it's probably because they know I'm not I'm not like a club goer as much as I used to be. I like being in bed by a certain time. But now I have to, Laura said before the episode, I have to become a regular. So that is apparently going to be my mission for 2024. At least become a regular with some of the bartenders.
Okay, I've got some fun facts. You want to hear mine?
Please.
Okay. Red Apple cigarettes and Big Kahuna burgers are nods to Tarantino. There's several reasons why that could be. Maybe because they were dating. Maybe it's just an homage. There's things.
Yeah, it was like things like that he created from his movies, right?
Yeah. Yep. So Madonna's tour, Blonde Ambition, that the outfits were based off of at the 87 prom. Blonde Ambition tour did not come out until 1990, so there's a little bit of a continuity thing there. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, one of those things. Mina blacklisted potentially by Harvey Weinstein. That is backed up by Peter Jackson and Lord of the Rings. The studio was unsure about this movie, but it ended up being a $29 million success, which is a success. A lot of actors in this movie went on to guest star on Friends because of David Crane. Post-its were actually invented in 1977. This was pitched to be like a sequel sitcom, but studios thought that it would be too annoying. Miss Romy herself is an Oscar winner. I think that's important.
I find it interesting, like, even though that there's currently confirmation that there is going to be a sequel, it's really nice that this could be such a standalone. Like, I think we always just want more of that nostalgia. So I understand from like a bottom line standpoint why people are going for it. But I feel like it shouldn't. I don't know. I'm very much like, why? Like, there's something to be said to keeping it the individualism that comes with this standalone movie.
I agree. The standalone movie was shot at Valencia High School in California, not in Tucson. There is a cast and crew director nod connection to The Simpsons, and that's why The Simpsons is playing in the service area where Ramon is.
The director of this movie directed that episode.
There you go. There's a very long rehearsal from the director so that he could build the friendship between the two actresses. Toni Collette was almost Romy.
I could see it.
Yep. Lisa's favorite scene she's ever filmed is when she got hit by the car. We love that. The dance at the end of the movie was almost a disco. This movie was pitched as the female Wayne and Garth from Wayne's World. The sequel, just as you mentioned, Romy and Michele get married. And this movie was stuck in development for 12 years, and it only got out because of Lisa's fame from Friends. And
12
I was reading
years. Wow.
I was reading some articles about this movie, and it was talking about how this is one of the first movies that was made that understood the power of the female audience, because there was a very brief time, like Titanic area, this movie, and a little bit after, where people realized the power of teenage girls and that they can really drive the economy, and that women have like a voice in the economy, which I thought was interesting because this movie's rated R, I believe.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why. I mean, there's only one fuck, but you know, there's a documentary about movie stuff. There's also a lot about, there's talking about, this movie explored female friendships in a way that a lot of movies haven't done before, especially in the late 90s. And the article was talking about how it was important for, just as you and I were saying, like the rewatch. So this has become a cult movie, like a cult classic movie. So having this movie come out in the late 90s, I say late, 97, to come out exploring female friendships like this before, and then to have it be a success, and then to have it gain the status of cult classic, means that several generations of women are going to be, I mean, like all people, but like this is about female friendships, are going to be watching this, and to have this positive influence wherever they watch it in their lifespan is a gift. And I do think that that is something that we touched on in our female friendships episode. And I think that the concept of sisterhood and female friendships is something that continues to evolve in media, and I would love to see where it goes in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like, even though we know the time period for this specific movie, it being a staple that you can watch generations later and the core foundations and the themes are still there and applicable, I think like that just contributes to the conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jess, do you have a favorite scene here?
I think it's the friendship. It's the prom scene. Just them being there. Just them being there for each other. I think it's so great. And then just I just love their one-liners to each other, because that feels like that feels like girlhood. That feels like sisterhood. That feels like friendship. And even when they were doing the lyrics, they were like singing Footloose, but only the words that they knew. I had this moment where I thought of the suicide, like this, the Virgin Suicides, where I was like, this is girlhood. This is music. This is just vibing. And that's like the scene itself is the prom scene, them being there for each other. And it's just like the core of being in a sisterhood, because it's like, I think we've talked about it in our female friendship episode, where it's like, there's best friends, and then there's sisterhood, and then there's like friendship that goes beyond being sisters. That being said, please feel free to follow us on Instagram. We're at ACOFAE Podcast. We're also both on TikTok. ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. Thanks so much, y'all. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.